All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Create Your Life video series with Laura Canfield. And today we're talking to my good friend, Jenny Watkins, and we're going to be talking about going beyond mediocre to infinite possibility and what that looks like for her and for all of you, sharing some of the Access Consciousness tools and processes that Jenny has used in her life, right, and her business to create more, right? And so for those of you who may be new to Access, you can check out Access Consciousness at accessconsciousness.com. And we probably will be using the clearing statement at some point, so you can go to theclearingstatement.com for more information about that. And I will actually put those links in the chat so that you have them and you can go and check them out. But Jenny, for those of you who are new to Jenny, I actually met Jenny. Was it last year?
December in Florence.
In Florence, yes.
Yeah.
So last December. It was last December. So it was a year ago almost. And we had a wonderful time at a class and got to know her really well. So much fun. And Jenny was born in England and grew up in South Africa. She's always believed that there was more to life. So when she discovered Access Consciousness, she knew immediately that these were the tools and techniques that she had been looking for. And her background is varied, having practiced various modalities at the same time as furthering a successful corporate career and being a single mom. And she was always looking to create a greater life for both herself and her son. And she has been working with the Access tools for the last 6 years and facilitates bars, the foundation, body processes, conscious horse, conscious rider, and recently certified as a Being You practitioner. And so her favorite thing is to empower others. So I'm so glad that she's here with us today to talk to us about how Jenny's empowering others, but also using these tools in her life and business. And so I know that, Jenny, you were just this past weekend facilitating an intro to Conscious Horse, Conscious Rider. Is that right?
Yep, that's correct.
And how was that?
It's an amazing class. If you're looking at how to find out who you are and to kind of be with an energy of a horse, they don't have any judgments of you. So they don't care whether you have makeup on, what your clothes look like, whether you have makeup on or anything like that. That doesn't even feature in the way that they be. So you're like one-on-one with a horse, and if you can be totally present and not be engaged in a lot of thoughts, feelings, and emotions, there's a very special space and energy of peace and calm and like that connection to nature. It is just amazing. And the class was really cool. So we got to run one of the Access Consciousness body processes on 6 different horses. And it was really cool. So it's interesting how the horses move around. When they want you to touch somewhere else, they move. And yeah, some of them fall asleep while you're running the process. It's it's a lot of fun. It's very special.
Absolutely. And I'm looking forward to one day being able to go to one of those intro classes. And I just have to say, Caroline, I know that this is resonating with you so much. Caroline is a horse person, big time. So I know this is resonating with you, Caroline. And I have ridden a horse a couple of times, not very often, I'll be honest. And I remember the first time, this was the hugest horse you could possibly imagine. And you know me, I'm like 5 foot nothing, right? Yes. And I got on the horse, and of course I was terrified because it's like, oh my God, this is a huge. And then he ran out of the barn, just ran. It's like, oh my God, I survived. It's all good. Right?
That is a lot of people's experience with their first horse ride, is if you don't go to a riding school to get some tuition.
Yeah, I had not.
The holiday horse ride.
Exactly. It was just those spontaneous things that some of our friends, we decided to try it out. Why not? It's an experience.
Well, it's true. It was an experience.
It was an experience.
It wasn't quite the one you were looking for, but it was an experience.
Exactly. And so, sometimes in life, we have these experiences that may not look exactly like we had thought or hoped or had these preconceived ideas about, right?
Yeah.
And so how can we be the energy of ease and calm when we're in a situation that's like, I have no idea.
Yeah. And the interesting thing with a horse too is that they actually require you to step up and be the leader. So
and just that saying that is like,
yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And how does that relate to our lives too, is if you want to create your own life, you've got to be willing to lead it and not allow circumstance to dictate it for you.
Absolutely.
So it's a very nice correlation.
Absolutely. And in order to lead and create your life, you have to be present. Yeah, it's, you know, you need to be present, required to be present, whatever, you need to be present with you and your body.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I know we just started talking about this, and it's like, let me go back and really ask you to share a little bit about your story, you know, with everyone, about how you got started with Access. What are some of your favorite Access tools that you use? And if you could share some experiences or stories where you have used the tools in a surprising way that, you know, you hadn't thought of before, or you know, like didn't even know that was a possibility. Putting you on the spot, because I don't have these questions ahead of time, you know, so it's like in the moment.
Yeah. Okay. I was introduced to Access through a friend of mine. I was before Access a body talk practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
And there was the body talk practitioners in our area had got together, and we supported each other a great deal. And she learned the Access bars and offered us all free sessions. So I went to have a free bar session, and it's kind of strange. It's like whenever I've kind of looked at the next thing as such, it doesn't ever make logical sense as to why I took that next step. So I came home and we had a body talk practitioners meeting, and I was so mad. I was irritated. I was angry. I was like, I don't want these people in my house. Will they hurry up and get out? But it's like, but I registered for the next class. I mean, why would you do that when you've had that kind of thing? But there's somewhere inside me, I knew this was discharging a whole lot of pent up emotions and feelings and things that it was time to release them. And I went to a bars class, and I haven't even got through the halfway part of the class. And I knew this is what I was looking for, and this is what I wanted, and I wanted to teach it. And I'd never really considered teaching anything before. So, I just knew. And that was in the September of 2011. Dr. Casey Crisp came to South Africa to teach bars in the foundation, because in those days there was only one facilitator in South Africa. So I did my second class with her in the first foundation, and then I flew to Canada to do my third bars class and another foundation. So by the May of 2012, I think I was a bars facilitator.
And where did you go in Canada?
Edmonton.
Okay.
Yes, it's very flat.
Yes.
There's a funny joke, right? If you lose your dog, you see it running for days.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly. Yeah. I was just curious because, So with Glenise probably.
Yeah, it was really cool. So I met Glenise there for the first time in that class. Yeah.
Yeah.
And and so from there, I was like, it just took off. And at the time, I was consulting part-time for a financial institution that I had worked full-time for previously, but had resigned. I like escaping from corporate from time to time. So I had escaped and started my practice. And then in about November 2012, well, when I came back from that class, just before I'd gone to the class, they'd offered me a full-time role at this company again. And I'd said, no, I'm happy doing what I'm doing. I'm like consulting a couple of days a week and have my practice the rest of the time. And then I came back and I'm going, you know what? I want to take Access Consciousness and see how it works in corporate. So I had a chat to them. And by the November 2012, I was full-time employed again. And I said, okay, I'm going to do this for 2 to 3 years. And then I'm going to transition out again and do it differently. And of course, 4 years later, which happened to be May this year, I resigned from full-time employment and transitioned into being self-employed again. But it's been an interesting choice. By the time I'd left corporate again, I'd received, I don't know, I think I've been promoted 2 or 3 times. I'd started off with a team of about 20, 25 people, ended up my team. So there was 80 people in my teams. I had 5 managers that I was leading.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole scale of what I was doing was totally different. And I'd been using the Access tools for myself during this whole period. And I mean, obviously they worked because I got all these changes.
Yep.
But there's a thing that when that occurs, your salary goes up. So when you're looking to transition into being self-employed and you've got a salary now that's here that's got to be replaced, because, you know, we're not particularly smart. We don't hold our expenses at the same level.
No.
We kind of do this so that the expenses and the income pretty well match, and then you go self-employed and you're going, ooh, it's not quite the same. So I've really had to buckle down and use Access tools now in my transition from going from self-employed to employed, because it's just you can't build a business if you don't have, I mean, I have a certain amount of money that I have to fund me for a while, but I know it's not going to last forever, and that I've got to get my business up and running. But if you do it in the traditional way, it's just so based on fear and need and necessity
and lack.
And you know, South Africa's economy is poor, and we've got economic situations, and we've got political situations, and we've got crime, and everybody's buying into all of that. So there's like, oh, I can't afford the class, or I can't afford this, or whatever. It's to not be the effect of all of that and still be able to create and grow a business in a country that believes that it has poverty. The consciousness of the country is poverty consciousness because of our history and because the majority of the people are unemployed, etc. It's a really interesting dynamic, and it's very diverse. So I've really knuckled down and used the tools. I mean, I've had in the first couple of weeks, I was waking up at 2-3 o'clock in the morning with this anxiety, fear thing going on.
So what did you do? What did you do with that?
Yeah. So what I did is I actually had some pretty standard questions to go to. So, and one of them is, what energy, space, and consciousness can I and my body be? Because that gets me into a different energy to be the bioenergetic feeling that nurtures people into a greater reality. What contribution can I be? What energy, space, and consciousness can I and my body be for people to find me who are looking for what I have to offer with ease? And I had those kinds of questions that it was like an automated go-to. So it's not really, you know, I almost had to have a discipline or a demand of myself that I wasn't going to stay in any of that fear or that anxiety, and to choose, because it is a choice. It's very easy to stay there because that's the way we're used to living, or that was the way I was used to living, is to stay in the fear and the anxiety and the worry. I mean, worry was my first my first go-to spot is like, I'm going to worry. And then if I worry, then I can obsessively think about all these different scenarios. So it was, I have to get out of that so that I can create more. And I wasn't willing to function like that anymore. So that was the demand I had to make of myself. The other thing was all of a sudden there's no salary. So you get to the end of the month and you're going, oh gosh. Because you're used to having, and then I realized, okay, so being employed, I always kind of knew that I was the source, even though I was working for a company and they were paying me for a job. There's still a different level of that. There's a different level to being the source when you're no longer employed, because you could show up at a job and get paid, whether you do an average job or a very good job. It doesn't matter. You're still going to get paid. And you can, and that's fine. But then when you leave, there's a different energy on being willing to be the source, because there is nowhere else to go.
So what does that mean? What does that mean to you, being the source? Because like you said, even when you're working in a company, you're still the source, even though they're paying you.
Yes.
Right. So what does that mean, that you're the source of money?
Yeah.
Just because, you know, in case people are wondering about that.
So you've got to show up. You've got to be present, and to know that no matter what, you can create and generate money at will. And that's not how we're brought up. We are not brought up to believe that we can create and generate money at will. It's always about, you have to do something. So you'd have to have a job, or you have to sell something, or whatever it is. But the willingness to be the source is that you cannot I'm not sure I'm wording this correctly, but there's that you are the one.
Mm-hmm.
You're the one that's going to create your life. You're the one that's going to choose whatever you choose. You're the one that's going to create and generate the money. You're the one that's going to put yourself out there and create a class, or however it is that you're generating your money. It's not, you can't rely on anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is the kind of thing when you're employed, it is like there is a part of it where you're relying on the company to pay you.
Yes, right.
And that's the difference. So that was the demand. And to the first few months is like, I was just going, I am willing to be the source. 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 To get out of my victim mode as well, that, you know, I would go into victim mode and, oh, you know what, this didn't show up, that class didn't go, whatever my excuse would have been. So it's to like, and that's part of the demand too, is like, this is it, I'm committed, I'm doing it no matter what.
Good. Yeah, I like that. I was just going to say really quickly to everybody, if you have a question, you can type it in the box, the chat box, or you can wave frantically and unmute yourself and ask a question, okay? Because there's no raising the hand thing here for some reason. I thought there was, but I don't think you can raise your hand. But if you have a question, please feel free to ask, okay? So yeah, so that's wonderful. I love that. And just by saying I am the source, so you're basically reprogramming your mind and the way you think to get to that point where you finally function from that space of I am the source of my creation. I am the source of my money flows. I am the source of everything that I'm doing in life, right? And being in life, right? Yeah. And also the what energy, space, and consciousness can I be to blah, 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 whatever it happens to be that you're requiring for yourself in the moment.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, and another great question is, what energy, space, and consciousness can my body be to create and generate money right away with total ease? And I use that a lot.
Yeah.
a lot. That's a very good first go-to question at 3:00 in the morning.
When you're having that anxiety attack. Yeah. So what what have I done? Oh my God, what's going to happen now? So so that's what energy, space, and consciousness can I and my body be to what? To generate and create
money right away.
Right away.
Total ease.
Yeah, with total ease.
Yeah.
I was going to type it in, but it's like, no, and that's great. And that's, again, that's shifting your mindset, and also at the same time, shifting your energy and how you be, right?
Yeah.
It's
and
both.
That's really important, because otherwise those feelings of fear and anxiety can pull you down. Yeah. And then it's just going down a rabbit hole or a deep dark hole. And it's, you know what, it was so normal for me to do it that way. But it's just a choice. It's just, you can either choose to stay with that fear and anxiety, or you can use the question and change your energy and choose that. And we keep on saying, oh, people talking about a choice and how do you make a choice? It's actually a choice. And in the beginning, I would go, okay, I'm not going to choose that. I don't know what else to choose, but I'm not choosing that again. And I would start it off that way until I kind of got, okay, this is what I would like to choose instead. But I wasn't willing to go down the rabbit hole anymore.
I love that. So I just wrote the statement again because Caroline asked for it again. So what energy, space, and consciousness can I and my body be to create and generate money today with total ease?
Yep.
Right? Well, so, and then don't just say it once, like keep saying it and see, and like sense and perceive how your energy feels. Like, do you start to get more ease? Are you starting to get more anxious? Like what's happening, right?
Yeah. And the other thing I learned with that as well is we can play lip service to the tools a lot. And we can just say, what energy, space, and consciousness can I, my body be to create and generate money right away, but you're not present. You're just saying it because you've memorized it. And I used to slow it down, or I still slow it down. I go, what energy, space, and consciousness can I and my body be to create and generate money right away with total ease? Do you see how the energy shifts when you're totally
different?
Yeah. And then it goes like this.
Yeah.
And then and then that just goes out into the universe, and leave it that doesn't
mean you start now figuring it out,
No, just leave it alone,
Mm-hmm.
because you don't have to work out the how. And that was one of the great things I've learned in the last 6 months too, is get out of control freak mode, which is really easy to get into when you are in your fear anxiety state, that you've got to be in control freak. And go, I'm going to leave it alone, because otherwise it's like you interrupted, right? You've like created this wave that goes out there. Now, I'm not very scientific, so you could probably call it like a photon wave or an acoustic wave. And then you go, well, how must I do this? Well, it must show up like this. And, oh, I didn't do that. And I should do this. And there you just create these interruptions in the wave that slows the whole process down. If you're willing to just leave it and let it go, the universe will work out the how and will bring it to you.
Okay, I get that, right? I get that. And we also are choosing and doing, like, it's like, for me, it's like, yeah, I get that. I ask the universe, show me. And then, you know, it's not like I'm necessarily waiting for something to happen or waiting for the answers to come, but I'm being present and I'm aware when something shows up, and then I take action.
Correct. And because that puts you into the energy, so you be the energy of the ask, when the doing shows up, there's no effort in what you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're trying to do without the being, you'll find it hard, and there's an effort and there's a control and a contraction in that. So that's kind of a way that you can recognize when you're doing something and trying to control it, rather than being the energy of the ask, of whatever you've asked for. Because all of a sudden an email shows up, somebody phones you, you phone someone, they give you a good idea. It's just magical how all this stuff evolves, and there's an adventure in that. Because, you know, when you're trying to control things, that's pretty boring, right? Because you've kind of decided this, and this is how it's got to happen. If you're willing to be the energy of the ask and get out of the way, and then the doing kind of just occurs, and there's no effort in that, there's an adventure there, because all of a sudden you meet someone you never knew before, you're connected here. All of a sudden you got more people in the class the day before the class occurred. I mean, Conscious Rider class on Friday, I think we had maybe 4 people, and then 1 dropped out on the Saturday. So that was 3 plus the 2 hosts. And by the time we got to Sunday morning, there were 10 in total in the class. That was between Friday and Sunday. But I'd just done a whole lot of questions and things on the Saturday because something else hadn't worked out. I'm going, okay, what's going on here? And that it led into the energy of the Conscious Rider class. But that wasn't a linear thing. It was because I was shifting my energy around it. So this is the thing, is like, if you are asking something, you think, oh, well, I spoke to that person, therefore they're going to speak to that person, they're going to speak to that person. It doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work like that. No.
At all. It's just the universe brings in these random things that matches the energy, but there's no direct connection to it. Which is like the magic and the fun of creating from there.
And that's what I was going to ask you too. It's like, okay, and then it's about asking questions. So, you know, I'll just share my little story now. I think it's a good time for my little story.
I'm going to have a sip of water.
Yeah, exactly. Give you time to have a sip. So last week I shared on one of the shows, I talked about my ring that I bought in Spain, right? This beautiful ring I bought in Spain just last week, like week before now. And Saturday night we went out for dinner after the class, right? And we went out to dinner, and then I took a taxi and came home. And we were out walking around with one of the participants from the class, because she'd never been to Vienna. And so, you know, I said, yeah, come on over, you know, I'll show you around. And we're walking, and I realized, oh my goodness, I don't have my ring. It's like, where's my ring? Right? So then I'm looking in my pocket, I'm looking in my purse, and it's like not there. I'm starting to stress out. It's like, oh my goodness, where could it have gone? It's like the last thing I remembered, I had the ring in the restaurant because I remember looking at it. And it's like, okay, so it has to be either in the bathroom when I went to the bathroom and washed my hands, or in the taxi. It's like, oh my God, I'll never get it now. You know, this is where my mind was going. It's like, well, they already threw the garbage out at the end of the night. You know, I'm not going to go through searching in the garbage. And in the taxi, who knows where it went if it's in the taxi, right? And so in the morning, I went to class, and I told Cass, you know, and one of the other girls, I said, oh my God, this is what happened. It's like, Cass, you know, do something. And that was my thing, like, do something, fix it. So, you know, she brought me up to the front, you know, on stage kind of thing, you know, as an example of how we can ask questions be the energy of the ring, for example, and doing some flows and exercises with energy. And then, not even an hour later, I called the restaurant, can you check and see if the ring is there in the bathroom? And we called the taxi company, and it ended up being in the taxi. The taxi driver came and brought the ring to me within 5 minutes. And he was so happy that I was happy. I mean, it was like, you should have seen his face. He was like glowing. He was so happy, and he didn't want anything, but I gave him some money for, his trouble for coming back to that place. But it's like, it all happened so magically, so easily, and without any stress. And I was like, wow, when you're open to it, I had a little bit of resistance, I'll be honest, right? But Cass asked me some questions and so on and so forth. And then, I was just like, all right, fine. I'm just gonna just be. And it was beautiful to see that it can change that quickly,
Yeah.
And of course I was happy because yay.
Yeah. And isn't that, there was a couple of things in that story. Is like you were willing to be the energy, which had no doing as the initial part of it, right? The doing kind of came later, because then the awareness is and go, okay, let's try this.
Yeah.
And then how actually there's a control in that way of asking, without it being the control freak, obsessive, addictive, kind of weird, distorted thing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the win, right? If you're willing to give up the control, that actually creates more for you later.
Yeah, and so some of the questions, I'll be honest, I don't even remember the questions that she asked, right? And it's not because I was like in front of everybody, that doesn't faze me, but it was like when you're in that mode and somebody's asking you questions and you're just being the energy, it's hard to remember. I don't remember it, but it was like, what outcome do you want, or are you okay if you don't get the ring back, it's like, where is the ring? Asking the ring questions, where are you? Right? And so she asked that question to the group to get their input, and somebody actually said, in the taxi, and this was before because she asked, is it in the bathroom? Is it in the taxi? Is it somewhere else? Is it lost? Those types of questions we asked the ring, right? It was amazing. It was like, wow, that was cool. So, it's possible. So it's like, that was a wonderful example, and of using the tools and being willing to use the tools and be willing to not get the ring back.
Yes.
Right?
In fact, that's exactly. And that's interesting, because that's one of the other things that I've done a lot as well, is destroy and uncreate everywhere I'm not willing to fail, everywhere I'm not willing to be poverty stricken, everywhere I'm not willing to lose everything. Because if you're in resistance to that, guess what's going to show up? Because that's where the energy is.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of, at the moment, I'm actually kind of destroying and uncreating that side of it more than the other side, if that makes sense. The more the unwillingness to be poverty stricken, to fail, for people to not show up for a class, having to cancel, because I find I have a lot more energy and resistance on that side of things than I am on being willing to be successful and have money for some reason. So you've got to, if you're aware of where your energy's playing out at the time, you can just tweak the questions to deal with it, which is really cool as well with the tools, right? They can adapt as you need them to, as you're going through whatever it is that you're looking to change.
And there was a situation, like at one point I was not willing to hear what she was saying. I was not going there. I was like, no, because I gave an answer, but the energetic answer was no. And it was about, because I said, okay, if the ring doesn't come back to me, that's fine, as long as somebody else enjoys it, right?
Okay.
So there's a condition on it, right? As long as somebody else enjoys it, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
But I didn't want it to be just gone in the garbage, kind of thing. Yeah. And so that was kind of funny too. It's like, okay, so what if the ring doesn't want to come back to you anyways, regardless of whether somebody enjoys it or not? So I was controlling it again, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So Caroline has a quick question. She can't come online, but she said, so I have been in this exact energy for money and or circumstances to change for money to come my way in order to complete a specific project. And my outcome was different. It did not pan out. So what's the question, Caroline? This is what Gary would say and Dane would say. So what's the question? Right? So what is the question there? And you know, and sometimes, okay, so here's this might help with you a little bit, Caroline, too. But I had started a project like 2 months ago, and it was I didn't complete it yet. Like it's in the middle stages, but it's like there's something heavy about it. There's something that was sticking. There's something I wasn't getting. And so I was today, just earlier, I was asking, okay, what is this? You know, and what else is possible here? You know, with this project, what you know, what would it take for this to be more ease filled or more exciting for me? What would I like? And so then I started to get some information about that. You know, so like, oh, that I would be happier with that. That feels lighter for me, because there was one sticking point that it was heavy. It's like I don't like that. You know, so it's like so then it's like, oh, I wonder if that's a possibility. So that sense of wonder, even, right? I wonder if that's a possibility. I wonder if, you know, this is, you know, where I want to go with this. So for me, being even in that question, I find is helpful for me, just being in the sense of, I wonder, you know, instead of concluding it has to look like this.
Yeah, no, so but that was going to be my question is how much attachment is there to the outcome, or what that it should look like when it's finished? That is maybe one question we could look at.
Sorry, say it again.
So
see, I missed it.
No. So what is the attachment to the outcome of the project? That it has to look a certain way, finish a certain way. How many conclusions are there on how the project's running, who's going to be doing what, how much money needs to show up, who's going to, you know, what's it going to look like when it's finished? I mean, from a project, there's obviously an outcome that's desired, but what if there's different ways that the outcome can show up if you're not controlling the path? And then if you've got a fixed idea that you need a certain amount of money in order for that to be completed, and the money's not showing up, then the project's not going to complete. What if the project can complete with a different resource that isn't money? Do you know what I mean? So there's you can never look at it from that perspective. Yeah.
So Caroline put in a little bit more about it. She said, I wanted a certain amount of money for the project, and I asked what energy I could be to get this money, and the money did not show up. I physically have to pay to complete it with a different outcome. With no money, it has a different outcome. So I guess that's what's meant to be. No. There's no that's meant to be. Yes, there was an attachment to the project, a full CD instead of 2 songs.
Okay. And is she, so Caroline, are you talking about you were supposed to be receiving money for the project, or you required money to finish the project?
She required money to finish the project.
Okay. Okay. So so your attachment was the fact you wanted a full CD and not just 2 songs.
Yes.
Okay. And what are your points of view around just having 2 songs?
What is your point of view around just having 2 songs?
Yeah.
Yes. She said, say again.
Yeah. So what's the point of view of just having 2 songs? Yeah. Because what if, I mean, the way music is distributed to the world right now doesn't always have to come in the form of a completed CD anymore, perhaps. I don't know that much about the music industry. But what if 2 songs is creating so much in the world and such a contribution to people that you don't require a full CD?
So she says that I never get what I want.
Okay, so that's a very interesting point of view. And one of the Access tools is 2 ways you can look at that. One, you can use interesting point of view. I have that point of view, and just keep on using it over and over again until you don't have that point of view anymore. And then use the Access conscious clearing statement and the destroy and uncreate that point of view. Because if you've got a belief that you never get what you want, it actually doesn't matter what you do, you will never get what you want, because your point of view is creating your reality. And we are brought up not knowing that our points of view are creating our reality. We are brought up in a kind of more of a victim mode, that your reality is created somehow and you're a victim to the reality. We are never shown that actually you're creating from whatever your belief system or your point of view or whatever it is. My English is delightful. My apologies. But I saw a really cool example of this the other day. Somebody wrote, so what came first? If you are going to the shop, did you go to the shop first or did the thought come first?
Mm-hmm.
So you thought, I'm going to the shop, and then you went to the shop. So you created that by your thought. So that's when you look in your bank account and you have $100 or €100 and you're going, I have no money. Tomorrow, you're going to look in your bank account and you're going to have no money because that was your original thought that came through and you created it from that space. So interesting point of view. I have that point of view. And to destroy and uncreate using the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement are two really, really great tools to use to get yourself out of those stuck, fixed points of view. And then from there to go into question. What else is possible? How does it get better than this? What else can I choose here? What else can I create and generate? And just start using a whole ton of questions. And you don't have to have the answers for them because different things will show up for you to say, oh, I can do this. Oh, I can do this. I can do this. And it's not that whole mental monkey mind over and over and over thought process that's required. When you ask the question, you open yourself up to infinite possibilities, and then the universe can start contributing to you and contribute different options. So I would use those three things a lot. Interesting point of view. I have that point of view. Destroy and create whatever those points of view are, and then go to question.
So can you actually run that for her so that she knows what, like she gets how to do it? Because she's
the Access Clearing Statement.
Yeah. So for example, it would be interesting point of view. I have that point of view that I never get what I want. I now destroy and create all that times a godzillion, good, bad, right, wrong, POD, POC, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds.
Yep. So the Access
I probably said it too fast, but anyways, go ahead.
It's no problem. So the Access Clearing Statement is like a magic wand. What it does, it goes to that space where you aligned and agreed or resisted and reacted to a point of view. So if you were like 3 years old and heard your parents saying you have to work hard for money, and you agreed with it because your parents know everything, then you've got stuck with that point of view, and you will continue to work hard for money throughout your whole life until you realize, oh, there's actually different ways to create money. So what the Access Clearing Statement does is it gets to that point where that initial, like that nanosecond that you bought that as real, and it destroys and uncreates it at that spot. So it's like a magic wand that changes the energy and then releases you from that fixed point of view. It's really cool. If you need more information on the clearing statement, go to www.theaccessclearingstatement.com.
It's just theclearingstatement.com. I already have it in the chat.
What did I say? Sorry.
You said the accessclearingstatement.com.
My apology.
Yeah.
So, it's theclearingstatement.com.
Yeah.
And there's a really nice explanation there on how it works. So this is to destroy and uncreate something. You're looking to the words, the fixed point of view, whatever has created an energy, and it's being held in the body and the brain. And when you say, I destroy and uncreate that, you're talking to the energy of that, which is why you're able to change it. It's not really the words, it's more the energy that's got stuck on those words. So you say, anything that you want that's getting stuck, you can go, everything that brings up, talking to the energy of whatever that is, times by a godzillion, because that's way more than what God knows. I destroy and uncreate it. That's your choice. Right and wrong, whatever's right or wrong about this, good or bad, doesn't matter. POD and POC stands for point of destruction, point of creation. All 9 is all the energetic stuff that goes around it. Shorts is what's meaningful and meaningless. Where's the significance on this? Shorts, boys, is the nucleated spheres where you're trying to peel away the onion, or you blow bubbles into a blowpipe and they all kind of make all these other bubbles. And the beyonds is that I can't believe this happened kind of beyond energy. So it's that's a very condensed version of what it means, but it's a magic wand. It's a real magic wand.
Yeah, and no, that's beautiful.
Yeah, say it in your head. Don't say it out loud unless you want to scare somebody off. So when you're sitting around the boardroom table and somebody's like got a very fixed point of view and they, kind of, you need to clear something, Just, do it in your head.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, I don't think anyone's ever explained it that well on these calls yet. So thank you.
Okay, thank you.
It's great. And so I had something else. Something came up about an ancestral pattern. So I was told that I have this ancestral pattern, of I start to do something and then the enthusiasm goes away and then the project is dead. And it's like, oh, I know that pattern. I do have that pattern, right? So I aligned with it.
Yeah.
So today I was doing a clearing for myself for that, but I thought maybe I would get your help, because I know, for example, in the Awakened Happiness Now community, for example, ancestral clearing is one of those big things. It's like big buzzwords, right? Yeah. And so I know, we are, so the ancestral clearing part of it, I mean, I know it's like, who does this belong to? So I did that. Right?
That was not going to be my first question. I
was like, oh, I should do that. Who does this belong to? I also did a big, huge statement, it's like, and then destroy and create all that. So I thought I would ask you your opinion on that.
So is there still a charge on it for you?
Yes.
Okay. So when you've asked who does this belong to, and you get an awareness it's not yours, and you've returned to center with consciousness attached, and it's getting lighter, but it doesn't really feel like it's gone, will you destroy and uncreate everywhere you've aligned and agreed, resisted and reacted, and bought that as yours?
Yes.
Times by Godzillion, right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9, shorts, boys, and beyonds. And all the oaths, vows, fealties, communities, promises, blood ties, and commitments and contracts that you have with these ancestors and continuing whatever this pattern is, will you now revoke, recant, rescind, reclaim, renounce, denounce, destroy, and uncreate all that?
Yes.
Sounds like Godzillion, right, wrong, good, bad, pop, puddle, 9, short, boys, and beyonds.
I've got goosebumps all over. It's like, yes. So I didn't do all that, so it's like, okay, good. So I'm glad I asked, because, it's like, I want that gone, Yeah. And so, because Jenny did it with me, if you resonated with that at all, if that called to you at all, it also works on you too, right? If you're willing to let go, right?
Cool.
So thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so what else? Let's see. So we.
I have a question.
Perfect. Good. Hi, who's this?
Jackie.
Hi, Jackie.
Yeah, so that did resonate with me.
It did?
Yes, definitely. And also, my question is, you mentioned that if you're sitting at a boardroom and somebody has a point of view that you don't agree with, can you do the clearing statement to your head? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things you can do. One of them would be interesting point of view. He has that point of view. And keep on saying that over and over again. Also acknowledge that you have an awareness perhaps that his point of view is not going to work. And even though you might not butt him off his point of view as such, you can expand your allowance to be greater than your awareness so that you're not so triggered by the point of view. And if he's trying to project his point of view onto you, you can destroy and uncreate everywhere he's trying to project and impel his point of view at you. And then do the clearing statement, right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9, short, boys, and beyonds.
So this is more for my family.
Sorry?
For my daughter, who projects onto her 10-year-old son, who is small. He's smaller for his age, and he's slow. And I remember going to their house recently, and she said to him, Forrest, you will have to work hard for the rest of your life.
Oh.
And I cringed, and I could see this poor soul. He doesn't like to go to school because he doesn't get it.
Okay.
And she is the one, she works very hard. She's doing her master's. So she's got that point of view.
Yeah.
And she said this to him, Forrest, you will have to work. Oh my God. And I was just like, please. And I was almost in tears.
Yeah, because you get a sense of what that energy is doing to the boy, right? So you can destroy and uncreate that in your head. to shift that energy a bit. If he aligns and agrees or resists and reacts to it, it's like if he's not, I don't know, would you be able to teach him interesting points of view? So
Yes.
if you say would you be able to say to him, if something feels heavy for you or like contracted, then just think in your head, interesting point of view, they have that point of view, interesting point of view, interesting point of view, until it feels lighter.
Okay.
And maybe just teach him that. Just to explain to him, he doesn't have to take it on. It's not to disrespect his mom. Was it his mom that did it?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. It's just, if he gets an awareness that doesn't belong to him, there's lots of tools, right? Who does this belong to? It's not mine, it's hers. Return to sender with consciousness attached.
Okay.
And then think interesting point of view.
Yeah.
And just let him know the light and heavy tool is great for kids, right? Because they have an awareness when things are true and when they're not true. But the adults twist energy anyway, and so they make the child believe that they're not aware. Do you know what I mean? They kind of distort it for them. So if you teach him light and heavy so that he knows when he's aware, when whatever's going on, if it's light, it's true for him, and it's heavy, it's not true. He doesn't have to do anything about it, but he doesn't have to take it on as his. He can just return that to sender. Even if you just return to sender without the consciousness attached, if he's not going to be able to grasp that, just the light and heavy he will get. It's not about intelligence, but he's probably got huge energetic awareness, and he'll be able to deal with that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and destroy and uncreate it in your head too. I mean, it's energy. It doesn't have to be done verbally. You're working with energy, so you can do that as well. So there's a lot of tools you can use here.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jackie.
Yeah. And I have another question.
Sure, go ahead.
In the recent couple of weeks, I've created going to the Happy Mouth class. So excited about it.
Cool.
And so it started with, I need the money for the class, and then I need the money for the airfare, and then the hotel. It was just like, stop it. So I've reached that point. I've got all of that in place, and now it's still, I need the money for the rent and So thank you for your question today that you spoke about, what would it take to create and generate money right away.
Yeah.
And now I would really like to be I would love to create being in the energy of the class and what it's going to create for the future with the possibilities of the Happy Mouth. So.
Okay. And would you be willing to destroy all your projections, expectations, separations, judgments, and rejections that you have of that class?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sounds by Godzillion, right, wrong, good, bad, pop, on our short boys and beyonds. Did you get a sense of the intensity on that? It's like, yeah. So, and this is where if you to be the energy of what you're looking to create gets distorted by that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then that kind of interrupts that flow that you've put out into the universe. So for me, when I'm asking to be the energy of something, I use what energy, space, and consciousness can I and my body be, and then whatever it is of the energy you're looking to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. What sense I'm getting is there's got to be an outcome.
Yeah.
Since I'm taking so much trouble to go to the class, I can't just go.
Yes. But if you're willing to stay in the question and to be the energy, things will show up. And this is where you've got to get out of the way. And I mean, it's like, it's so natural for us to want to control it. And then we think, okay, we need to do this and we need to do that. And that's got to happen. And then I've got to get that happen. And then, you know what I mean? Can you get there's like there's a whole frenzy energy about that. So just destroy and uncreate that every time you get a sense of it. And then what energy, space, and consciousness can I, my body, be for this to occur with total ease? And that's all you've got to ask, right? Yeah. Just ask for it to be with total ease.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Thank you, Jackie. I'm glad you asked that last one, especially. Yeah. Good. Thank you. So I just wanted to share really quickly with everyone the gift that Jenny has for us. So it's a 15-minute personal session. So if you're on the live page, you can just click on the gift button and that'll take you to the gift page. And basically what I put there was the contact information for Jenny. So you can just complete that contact form and put in your details and say that you're, you'd like a 15-minute personal session. So can you, Jenny, share with us what that looks like at the 15-minute session?
Yeah.
15
minutes, yes. So basically it'll be come with your questions of what you would like to change or what you're stuck with. And then we will use the Access Consciousness tools to change that energetically for you, and then give you tools so that you can create it differently. And that is how you can empower yourself, because you can use those tools over and over again, whatever your situation is. So yes, I would say come with your questions and be clear on what you would like to change and what you would like to create. And then we, can pretty much get through some of that in 15 minutes. And if we don't, well, we'll make another plan.
Exactly. No, that's perfect. What else is possible? Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, because I mean, even like my question that I had, right, about the ancestral clearing, for example, I had a question. I told Jenny, she cleared it. Yeah. More than I did myself. So I was like, yay. And then from that, you can ask even more questions after that. That took 2 minutes, right? But so then you can ask more questions, or like Caroline asked, and so you can just ask, or like Jackie asked, that was less than 5 minutes, so there's room for more. So it's pretty quick. It doesn't have to take an hour. No. I love that. So any other last tool or process or question that we can use regularly, daily, to create our lives with more ease?
Yeah, so I'll tell you, how much time do we have? A few minutes. Okay,
as much as you want.
So I'm going to tell you a quick story. I've been looking to be a full-time access facilitator, coach, whatever, for a couple of years now. And in December last year, I sold my house, and part of this whole thing was to move into an equestrian estate, because the horse that I was leasing was here and I wanted to ride him more often. And when I left full-time employment, I would have that time to do that. So fantastic story. I decided to put my house up for sale on the Monday. The Wednesday, I flew to Florence to come to the class with you.
Yep.
And by the following Monday, I'd had 2 offers already on the house, because I'd asked the house to sell itself and use the tools. And the Tuesday morning, I accepted the offer. The Wednesday, I flew home. Thursday morning, I signed the papers, and at lunchtime, I drove to Botswana to go facilitate a foundation class. Then I came home and I'm going, I've got nowhere to live. I've sold my house.
And that happened so fast. Wow.
It did, within a week. And I'm going, okay. Now, a couple of months before that, I'd been looking to buy a house in the equestrian estate. But at the time, I had a point of view that it was double what I could pay. So, and there was one house. It was on this property, and it had 2 cottages on it. I'm going, oh, this looks so cool. And I loved the look of the house and the feel of it. And I'm going, but it had had a pending offer on it, because I stalk on the internet. I'm a house stalker on the internet. And I emailed the estate agent and said, you know what, if the sale falls through, let me know. I'm interested in buying the house. And then a couple of weeks later, a sold sign went up, and I'm going, but I was still in the question, what will it take for me to do this house? I asked the house, what will it take for me to live in you, etc. Anyway, so I came home from Botswana, and I went onto the area's Facebook page, and I put up a post, and I said, I'm looking for a 2-bedroom cottage to rent. I have 2 dogs, 3 cats. So, it's got to be safe, secure, and the landlord not mind animals. And within 24 hours, this lady posted on the Facebook page, oh, I've got this cottage and it's up for rent. And it was that cottage that I was looking to buy.
Yeah.
And she had bought it, but she wasn't ready to move in. So I'm going, cool, I'll take it. And she's going, you haven't even seen it yet. I said, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I know what I want.
She must have thought I was totally crazy. Anyway, so end of February, I moved in. And then the end of April, I left my full-time job. So now I'm working in this beautiful space with a bird sanctuary and the horses next door, and it's just divine. And I was writing probably 3 times a week, and creating my business, and then Gracie got ill, and she had to be put down.
Oh no.
Yeah. And I'm going, okay, what's right about this I'm not getting? Because, you know, then it was like the normal pity party. What did I do wrong? I've been trying to create this for so long, and then this happens, whatever. But through that time, I was using the tools and going, okay, I am so grateful to this horse because I'd had such an amazing time with her. I'd been with her for 8 years. I was able to say goodbye to her and let her know how grateful I was. I mean, it was really, really special. But the awarenesses that I got from this afterwards, like a couple of days after that, I woke up and I'm going, I actually have a choice to be happy or sad today.
Mm-hmm.
And my old programming would have been, I've got to be depressed for 3 months because the horse died.
Right.
But I have a choice here. I can be happy or sad. Yes, does this suck? Yes, it does. But it doesn't have to stop me from creating my life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to have a pity party around it. When I think about it, I'm sad, I can be sad, but it doesn't have to cloud my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 weeks ago, the landlord let me know that she's been made a really good offer and she's considering selling the property, which means when my lease expires at the end of February, I have to find a new house. I'm going,
unless you buy it.
What happened to my dream?
Right? Unless you buy it.
But I'm just losing the tools. I'm going, I'm not going pity party. I'm not doing this. It's like, now it's like, I could create greater. I can get a property where I can have horses on the property and run classes with horses around. I can, do you know what I mean? It's like, how does it get better than this?
And what else is possible?
Not get attached to the fantasy, because I had this fantasy of what it should look like.
Yeah.
And like, I let go of the fantasy because that was the limitation. And now what can I create greater than what I've created so far? And that's the space that I'm creating from.
I love that. So what can I create great? What was the last bit? What can I
create greater? Greater than my fantasy.
Greater than my fantasy.
Yeah. How can I create my fantasy?
I'm talking to Caroline at the moment. I love you, Caroline, but I'm sharing this with you. And also, you mentioned what's right about this I'm not getting.
Yeah.
That's another good one. For everybody.
And that whole process, it's not about I've done something wrong. Did I mess up a tool and not create this correctly? You know, it's like nothing like that. I've had just fantastic awarenesses of how this can be greater, how I can ask for more, how can I step it up? Because you're like, I've gone from I owned a house to now I lease a house. Well, what was that about? Do you know what I mean? It's like, step it up now, you know. I was leasing a horse. Why do I not own the house, buy the horse? Do you know what I mean? It's like... Yeah,
so don't go into the why. Don't go into the how. Instead, you know, like, what can I create greater than my fantasy? Thank you, Jackie, for typing that in. And, you know, what else is possible here? And I always ask that, what else is possible here? You know, or sometimes say, what am I missing here? You know, but it's like, you know, what can I add to my life? I love what can I add to my life that would be fun for me, that would create ease for me. What can I add to my life that would generate money for me with ease? I mean, I love the adding. So I love adding. So what can I add to my life? And you know, life is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be, even when you're creating your life, you know, your greater life than what you have right now, it's supposed to be fun. You know, it's supposed to be joyful. And so I say supposed to be. So what can I do today? What can I be or do today to have more fun?
Yeah. And also to look at, going from the mediocre and going beyond mediocre, right?
Yeah.
It's like, yes, this was the lifestyle I've created in the last 6 months is way greater than what I had before. But what if that is now mediocre for me? And now what if I can go beyond that?
Yeah. Absolutely. I love that. And, you know, we do have infinite possibility and we have infinite choice. So what are you choosing for yourself today? You know, and what can you choose today that's even greater than you had ever even thought possible?
Yeah.
Right. So there's so much information in here for everyone. So, this is definitely a re-listen, Caroline says. Absolutely. So please do take advantage of the 15-minute session with Jenny, because, you know, she has the tools and she is, you know, willing to share them with you so that you can start to create more and go beyond mediocre to infinite possibility. And I just, you know, that's what I want for everybody, is to go beyond mediocre, you know, to create the life that you truly desire with ease and fun and joy, you know?
Yeah. And not to go to the wrongness of you when something doesn't quite work out the way you expected it to do.
Yeah.
It's rather, what's right about this I'm not getting? How does it get better than this? How can it get greater than this?
And what interesting point of view, you know, or interesting point of view, I have that point of view, and destroy and create all that, right? So those are like great tools, because some of them I don't even remember. I sometimes remember the interesting point of view, and what's right about this I'm not getting.
Yeah.
and then, you know, don't go into the wrongness of you when you don't remember.
Don't do that. Don't do that. It doesn't create more for you ever. It never ever does.
So you can also add, what can I add to my life that will create more here? You know, I mean, I could go on and on. It's like, I love it. But thank you. This was beautiful, so powerful, so relevant, and at the same time, you know, we can all relate to it, you know. So the tools were practical, and that's what I wanted for everyone. It was practical tool that they can start to use in their day-to-day life. And so these tools, guys, really, when you use one of these tools, don't just do it once. Keep doing it until the energy shifts.
Yeah.
Okay? Keep doing it until the energy shifts. So be present. So get out of your head and be present so that you can notice when the energy shifts. Okay, right?
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for your questions, for being present here. And, you know, what else is possible for all of us, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Jenny. That was awesome. Really awesome.
All right. So I'm going to unmute you all for a quick second so you can say thank you and bye. This was so much fun.
Thanks, Alara.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing this series. This is awesome. Beautiful.
Oh, good. Good. I'm glad you're liking it. Yay. Thank you, Caroline. All right, everyone. This was, like I said, wonderful. Thank you, Jenny. We'll talk again soon.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. So much fun. All right. So everyone, thank you. Have a great day, evening. And until next time, continue to live your life filled with joy, peace, love, and abundance and happiness. Sending you all much love and blessings always. Okay. Bye for now.